to our next great game in chess history. This time, we're going to be investigating a game from the third world champion of chess, Jose Raul Capablanca. The only Cuban world champion and legendary player. He was the reigning world champion from 1921 until 1927, and he was renowned for the simplicity of his play. He had an astounding endgame prowess, accuracy, and with the speed of his play, he earned the nickname of the human chess machine, rather. Capablanca's famous invincible streak extended from February 10th, 1916, when he lost to Oscar Chage in the New York 1916 tournament, to March 21st, 1924, when he lost to Richard Reddy in the New York International. During that time period, he played 63 games, winning 40 and drawing 23, including a successful title defense match against Lasker between 1914 and his World Championship match against Alekhine. Capablanca had only lost 4 games of the 158 match and tournament games he had played. In team match, and tournament play from 1909 to 1939, he scored 318 wins, 249 draws, and only 34 losses. Only Spielman held his own, +2 -2 = 8 against Capablanca, apart from Carries, who had a narrow plus score against him, +1 -0 = 5, due to his win in 1938 at the Avro tournament, during which the ailing Capablanca had turned 50, while Carries was only 22. I think the thing to recognize, we've moved forward in chess history all the way to 1929 at this point, and this was a couple of years after the loss of the crown by Capablanca. But this game really impressed me, as it showed the first real positional, just absolute thrashing, a squeeze from a player. And this was what Capablanca gave to us in chess the first time. There seems to be a passing of the guard where you'll have a creative, vicious attacker, and then you replace it with cold, calculating defense, positional play, and it bounces back and forth, and with each generation the players get stronger and stronger, having the benefit of hindsight and the experiences of all those who came before them, their predecessors, if you will. So without further ado, let's go through this game of Capablanca, the first true positional master of chess. Capablanca is white, facing, as we were told in the last video, a move that he felt was subpar compared to e6, but maybe his opinion changed as 20 years later, knight of 3, e6, and not one much for opening theory still. He plays bishop g5, and we get the trade of this bishop quite quickly. And I find it interesting that black went with this f5 move, because typically in a Stonewall Dutch structure, you want to maintain the dark square bishop. So white's gotten exactly what he wanted here. And this may have been preparation by Capablanca, knowing that his opponent played in this way. Because the queen is not doing much. I mean, the bad B, staring at the pawns, already I feel like white has got just the tiniest amount of plus from making the trade of his bad bishop for black's good one. After e3, Knight d7, optimizing piece play. Connecting the rooks, completing development. And I feel black is kind of playing planlessly here. And for good reason. It's not easy to try to break through. And the potential is maybe black can play e5. Well, the more that position changes at this point, the easier it is to get to black's king. And I'm starting to feel really uncomfortable for black in the structure. I think this knight on h6 was badly misplaced, and you may even want to take the time to bring it back around to try to get it to e4. So rook a b1, looking at the potential of playing b4 with this minority attack type plan where the 2 is going to attack here. Knight f6. And now that the knight has left the defense of the e5 square, Capablanca takes the time to jump in. And I love the next move, f4. This seals e5 and potentially g5 from black, and this is that first beginning of the squeeze. And we're going to see it gradually get worse and worse from black from this point on. df3, again, gripping g5 and e5. No breaks that are going to be useful for black. Space. The bad bee is struggling to find a good place to sit, looking for the breakthrough on the queen side. And after a6, a gradual transition. And black makes a good decision. When you're cramped, trade pieces. That knight on e5 is a monster. So again, when you're cramped, trade pieces. So what's the best way to handle this? My knight is better than yours. It's okay to move back and waste time. And that's a mistake I find a lot of my students making. They feel like they're admitting wrongdoing by having to go backwards. No. Mastery in chess is very much the dance and shuffling for superiority with your pieces. So it's simply redirecting. That's all. It's not making a mistake. The mistake would be to keep the knight on e5. c5, shutting down the potential of any sort of break with b6 and c5. The squeeze is getting further and further here. Knight f6, a4, and only really white has the choice to break on the queen side. Knight g4, no problems. Keeping the queen on a good square, flexible on both sides of the board, eyeing b4 as well as h4. Taking away that square from the knight. Getting space. And I love it. Rook c2, flexible again. I love all of Capablanca's moves in this game because he's staying flexible on both wings. King h8, rook g2, with the ability to break through. Then Capablanca sees that black really can't do anything in the center. It's completely locked. He can't do anything on the queen side. So now we can make full paralysis. g5. And we have time to slowly improve without any risk. h4, h5, rook h2, and compare the rook on h2 to the rook on h8. Just because we talk about the concept of piece value doesn't mean that rook on h8 is worth anything near the potential of the rook on h2. Queen c3, getting the king out of the way. Now we have all the pressure here. And I love the way this is gradually getting molded here, where white is shuffling to see if black will beat himself. White is improving the position, but it would make life so much easier if your opponent just makes a knee-jerk reaction and gives the game to you. And I really began to understand this principle when studying the complete Endgame course from International Master Silman. As in his Master chapter, the beginning talks about the concept of cat and mouse. And in an endgame, or in a position where you have complete control like this, if you can do it in 2 moves or do it in 10 moves, the exact same thing, you always select to do it in 10 moves because it adds more pressure to the opponent and gives them more chance to go wrong. And it's those types of concepts that are easily missed by weaker players, and that's why I try to point them out in my videos, that chess mastery is not about understanding, 50 shades of equal. It's winning games. If chess was about experience, the oldest grandmasters would be the best players. That's not the case. It's about who is the best at inducing mistakes at a high level from the opponent, and a lot of that is shuffling and psychological pressure. Chess can be mental torture, and this type of game is a great example of that. Dg8, we get the breakthrough on b5, h6, and now, why would he shut the door on the king side? Oh yeah, because the rooks are sealed in. The flavor of the rooks are sealed in by their own king. Oh, it feels so bad. Where's the knight on f7 going? Where's this rook going? Ugh. Takes on b5. b6. This puts the queen in the way of the rooks, making sure they can't get to the open file. Pure positional domination. Now, we need to organize for the breakthrough. Rook's meant to be there. Let's get everybody on there. Black can only shuffle. Now we got the full arsenal on the A file. Don't rush the attack. Break his back. Don't rush. King's on a safer square. Now there's no knight takes g5 tactics, anything like that. Queen a1, lining up with the king potentially. Coming back. Do it in 2, do it in 10, guys. Finally, when he sees that he's just going to shuffle and he's used enough time, we have this key position. What do you do with white? If you're a pause the video type of person, now's the time. Alright. Hopefully you paused the video and found the best move and the breakthrough idea. Bishop a6. It all comes to a head. Takes. Check. Knight takes. With a resignation. And it's always fun to show the sack mate types of games, but the games, for me personally, that I take the most pride in have the kind of feel of a game like this. Absolutely beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this positional masterclass by the third world champion.